Welcome to Mitts Off, episode 16. Today we're joined by Philadelphia Flyers forward Owen Tippett. Here's a guy, high draft pick, had to battle a lot of adversity, a big trade, but really battled through to become a premier forward in the National Hockey League. Mitts Off is powered by Sports Interaction, our exclusive betting partner, and your homegrown sports book. Download the app to get started, 19 plus, and as always, please play responsibly. And here we are, joined by Philadelphia Flyers forward, my old buddy at BioSteel with Matty Nickel. Flyers forward Owen Tippett. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Good, man. It's great to see you. I know I asked you before, but is this downtown Philly? Is this where we're living?
Yeah, that's the spot right now, downtown with in all the action. So it's been fun.
From a player's perspective and POV, can you tell me why you guys have had so much success as of date?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say the cliche answer of we got such a good room, and it's so easy to say that we're all fighting for one another in belief. But I think going into the year, we didn't have any expectations on us. It's pretty open that we were going through a rebuild, and when you don't have any expectations, it's a little easier to play more free, and we've just had fun with it. I think, start the year, nobody really kind of knew what to expect of us. And it's been fun. I mean, obviously it's been a great room to be in and be a part of. And we have a lot of fun, and, there's a lot of belief in that room. So it's been amazing so far.
That's cool, man. No expectations whatsoever. Cause it's honestly the majority of teams that I played on, especially in the NHL, we did have a lot of expectations and pressure, but I want to get into Torts a bit, because I think it's pretty cool, the job that he's done. And he's a pretty, what's it called when it's polarizing? That's the word I'm looking for, polarizing character. But we had Nick Foligno on here, and he explained how much he loved him. And this quote from Rasmus Ristolainen was awesome that I read. He said that he wishes he had him when he was 18. His game's taken big strides, about him killing plays and his D-zone work. Can you talk to me about your relationship with Torts and how he's helped you to kind of blossom this year?
Yeah, it's a lot of the same as kind of what Risto said in that quote. I think last year with Torts coming in and, everything changing over, he challenged me right away, and, just wanted to kind of get to know me as a player. And I think ever since training camp last year, we've had a good relationship, and he's been great with me. I think, my game has kind of gone to that next level under him, and it's been great for me personally and our team as a whole.
When you say he challenged you, so you meet him for the first time. I was thinking about this too. You were probably training in the summer. AV got fired. When Torts got hired, were you like, oh shit? Like,
Yeah.
like, were you nervous? First of all, that's, I guess, my first question about it.
Yeah, I knew something was going to happen. I mean, when I got traded, I think AV had just been let go just before that. So I never had him, but I think I knew things were going to happen that summer. And, it's kind of a guessing game of who's going to come in. But as soon as you hear that he's been hired, it's, obviously you hear how hard his training camps are and this and that. But I talked to guys that have had him in the past, and they had nothing but great things to say. So that kind of got me excited. But obviously it's kind of up in the air until you get into the first training camp and meet him firsthand.
So talk to me through this training camp, man. Camp Tortorella. I've heard since all the way back since he was in like Tampa. I had a couple of vets that I played with early in my career that were there, talking to like Mike Delzato at BioSteel, and everybody in between has talked about these training camps. Was it the real deal? Like, is this the hardest thing you've been through?
In terms of training camps, I think so. Yeah. I mean, obviously last year when we were all going through it, there was, I think, a lot more nerves, and, he does the 6 laps or 6 reps of the 8 laps or whatever it is. But, he came in, sent us an email or letter over the summer and said he's going to do 8 instead of 6. And I think going in the second year, you kind of know what to expect. It might make it a little easier. It might make it a little harder. I'm not sure, but it gets everyone ready, and it sets the tone on day one. So, it's been fun. And, when you're with a good group of guys, you just kind of battle through together, and it makes you stronger.
Walk me through this 8 lap. Say this again, because obviously I've done a bunch of on ice tests throughout my career. Walk me through this test. So say it again slowly.
Yeah, so it's 3 laps 8 times as fast as you can go. So
Oh my
you
God. Is there a
there's four.
time like thing?
Yeah, he says it's under 40 seconds, but he's just if you give up, that's when you kind of get the screaming session. But no, it's four guys going at a time, start out each blue and pretty much go 3 laps one way as fast as you can, and then the next one you go 3 laps the other way and eight reps.
What's the rest in between?
It's so there's 4 groups of 4, so it's just 1-to-3 ratio.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, that's a night. I just got like a pain in my stomach thinking about having to do that. Did you do okay?
Yeah, I think yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of just got to put your head down and get through it.
Did you practice it in the summer at all? Because I know, like, when we were training with Maddie, we did different tests. I remember, like, the triple down and back we tried, but did you try it at all in the summer to prep for stuff like that?
The first year I was doing it, after skates with Maddie or on other ice sessions when I had time to do it. But we all come in a couple weeks before camp and we all do it together. And I think it's one of those things where the more you think about it, the harder it can be. And I try not to worry about it until I'm back in Philly and back with the guys. But no, it's one of those things where if you trust you're in good shape and you come into camp ready to go, that it just makes it easier knowing that's your mindset. But yeah, I think the more you think of it, the harder it can be.
Yeah, it's all mental, man. I'm sure you were in great shape, though. I had a front row seat to that. I watched you in the summer at St. Mike's. You started in the junior group, but ended up in the pro group by the time I was out of there. But I feel like there's certain people in your life that you look back at and look through your career that really helped you to get to where you are. Friends, family. But for you, I feel like Matty Nicol is a guy that has really played an important role in your life story. And we had Erica Branson on last episode and talked a bit about it, but you can't talk enough about Matty. And I would love to hear from your point of view. You've been with him since what? You were 14 years old or something like that?
I want to say 13 or 14 would have been my first summer with him. Yeah.
So kind of two-parter. Can you tell me how you got introduced to start training with them and just kind of your relationship with him over the years and what he's meant to you?
Yeah, I first got introduced to him. I moved to Toronto when I was 11 and, kind of switched my life to play down there and go to school down there. And he was, I think at the time, a couple of guys I was going to school with trained with him and got introduced to him through a friend of a friend or whatever it was. And, it's been great ever since. I've never had any second thoughts of switching or leaving. And, he's been great for me, both on the training side and the mentor side. He's been, a big part of where I am today.
I will never forget. I was telling my producer Darren before this. So at St. Mike's, we used to have the Thursday night scrimmage. Hey, the Thursday night skate,
Yeah.
closed door. We literally had security at the front door. And we would have, so for the viewer or listener, whoever's taking this in, we would have a 4-on-4 scrimmage every Thursday night. We would draft 2 teams and play. And Tip, it was some of the most competitive hockey I've ever been a part of. That's the first thing I remember. Second is how sometimes I was out there and I was like, what am I doing out here? I have no business being out here with these players. This is so fast. But it was invite only, right? And the way Matty worked his summers was there was the pro group in the morning, 6 to 1, and then all the juniors were in the afternoon. And you were still a junior. And I'll never forget the first invite you got to come skate with the boys and be in the pro scrimmage because you were just knocking at the door, eh? And I want to go back to that and ask you, were you like, I've always wanted to know this, were you like nervous about that interaction when you were still playing in the OHL, training separately, but you were starting to get mixed in with us pro guys? Were you nervous about that and kind of like getting bumped up and being with us on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think, especially being the age I was, I grew up watching a lot of those guys at the gym and still training with some of them. And I think the best way to describe it was it's almost like you're getting called up. I mean, whenever we need an extra guy, you call up from the juniors or whoever it was. And obviously, I was obviously nervous to kind of be a part of that scrimmage and, skate with you guys for the first time. But I think at the end of the day, it helped me in, knowing on where I needed to be and how I needed to prepare and just train on a day-to-day basis. I know summer schedules can be a little bit different, but I think that's one thing Matty always does is he makes it feel like a team in there, and we have such a good group. And I think the reason why those scrimmages were so intense is because guys knew, what we needed to do to prepare for the season. So no matter kind of whether it was summer or leading up to camp, guys really treated it like a chance to get better.
Was there, like, looking back on it, that's a great thing you said. Maddie made it feel like a team, because I felt like that in the summer too, right? We were all in the dressing room. We had equipment managers. It felt like we were a squad and we were training together. The question that I just thought of was there one of those players that you said you watched or looked up to in the summer that you just watched all the time and was like, this guy works his bag off, like I want to kind of be like this guy, or anyone that set a really good example that you remember?
I think it was.
You don't have to say me.
I think it was just everyone in general. I mean, obviously, still being young and wanting to kind of be there, you can learn a bunch from like a lot of guys. And I there'd be times where you guys would just be finishing up, and I'd be just starting my workout, and I'd see you guys at the end of skates or whatever it is, and you can learn from any guy on the ice. And for me, it was just taking everything in. I try not to watch, too closely on one guy here or there. I think just being in that environment, there's a lot you can learn from everyone.
I want to go run through Florida a little bit, man. Because I obviously, along with a lot of other people, watched you get drafted super high, 10th overall, which is pretty damn cool in itself. But a lot of stuff happened in your time with Florida when you were a prospect, right? Is it your first year you got 7 games? Was that the very first draft year?
Yeah, first year out of camp. Yep.
Can you tell me about that? First of all, your first introduction to basically camp and getting those 7 games and what that was like, and kind of the message when they sent you back to junior. Cause I just want to be able to preface this a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, obviously being a 17, 18-year-old kid going into your first camp, all you want to do is make a good first impression. And, obviously your goal is to make the team out of camp, but I just kind of took it one day at a time. And when I was able to get those 7 games in, it was huge for, I think, my development and my confidence. And more like when they did send me down, it was more just to keep building. And now that I have that experience, to know what I need to work on and take that away and just keep working at it and building that confidence going forward.
So you saw it as a positive. So you end up finishing in Springfield, I think after the year after that, but your first full year when you signed pro, you played a full year in Springy, yeah?
Yeah, my first year, I guess, was a full season, was actually when COVID hit. So I was in Springy. I played all the way up until I think it was the end of January, early February, and I ended up having surgery. But then COVID hit like 2 weeks after. So that was my first full season of pro.
Tell me about Springfield. Is it Mass? I don't even know what state it's in, man.
Yeah.
Man,
well,
it was always the tail end of the 3-3 for me. It was always the tail end.
Yeah, no, I think you've seen it firsthand. I think the city can kind of turn guys away, but my time was great there, and we had a really good group, and it's a great spot to play if the fans are behind you, and it's a really fun spot.
Okay, so now talk to me about getting your opportunity in Florida. And I went back and looked at ice times, and I remember watching you play when you finally got your shot, I'll call it. It was maybe 10, I think the max was 12 minutes a night, which I think is a joke, to be honest, especially for a kid who's a prospect with a really bright future. It doesn't sound great to say out loud, but 12 minutes isn't a lot of ice time. And I understand that. Like, coaches will say, listen, you have to play better in order for me to play you more, instead of the other way around. But what do you think went wrong in Florida? Was there not enough ice time, you think, given to you? I'm sure your confidence wasn't at an all-time high. Was the opportunity maybe not there just early when you started getting up there?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that, with saying when the ice time's not there, it's tough to kind of almost stay in the flow of the game, and especially being a young guy, you feel like you have to do something every shift and every game to kind of stay in the lineup. And I think it was just one of those things where I was coming in a tough spot where tail end of COVID when there was a taxi squad and there were so many guys around, and I think just feeling the extra pressures of always feeling like I need to do something. But yeah, I think it's exactly what you said with lack of ice time, and I'm never going to be one to complain. But I think it definitely helps with a guy's confidence early, and just knowing that now that I've kind of gone through that and I'm a bit older and looking back, I think it was one of those things where I put a lot more pressure on myself to feel like I needed to be doing something every shift and every game to kind of stay in the lineup.
I feel that a lot, man. And you said the word confidence a couple times. Like, how did that whole thing affect your confidence? Were you second guessing yourself on the ice? Practices, were you gripping the stick a little tight? Like day to day, was that affecting your confidence?
I think so. I mean, obviously being a guy in junior to be a point producer and then getting to the NHL, and obviously it's a lot harder league and a lot different. But I think with confidence, it's so easy to hesitate or second guess yourself on certain plays, and when you kind of sit back, it can end up hurting you even more. So, I think I've always been my own biggest critic, and I think in a way it could have hurt me in some ways.
Did you have to kind of redefine your game there? I feel like obviously being a big scorer and big point producer in junior, and now you're playing more of a checking role. Did you kind of have to figure things out and say like, hey man, I might not be a top line winger. Like at that point, I'm going to have to change my game a little bit to be able to get into this lineup. Like, were you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think whenever you're in and out, you always think of different things you can be doing. And honestly, it wasn't until I got traded over to Philly that's kind of where my head settled. I mean, obviously, you look at different guys, and for me, I think just using my size, and I'm not gonna be able to blow guys up every night and have that huge hit, but I think me just staying involved physically, whether it's finishing checks and making sure a guy doesn't get by me, which is the big emphasis that's Torts had on me since he came in. He wants me to kind of use my size and play that more power forward role instead of like what you're saying, where just that top line point producer. And I think that's something that took me a while to kind of realize, but ever since I've done that, it's taken my game to the next level.
So let's talk about the trade a little bit then. You mentioned it. I want to ask before that, you're in Charlotte. Was going down to Charlotte, was that part of the pre-trade? Like I just look at your DB and I remember you going down and thinking, is he down here because of performance stuff? Or is this like, okay, the Flyers are putting him on the block? Like, how did that whole thing play out?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I never really thought anything of it. Obviously the struggles leading up to it with being in another lineup and whatnot. And they told me I was going to go down for a weekend, get some games in, get my confidence back up. And it's funny because I never thought about it until after, but they had sent me down before we had back to back in Lehigh Valley. So I was like, okay, now this is all making
Oh, a
sense.
little
So
showcase.
I went down, played that first weekend, and then it was the following weekend. I think I got traded. Um, but after those two games, I didn't play. I was just getting sat and held out in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of almost spiraling in a sense of what's going to happen. I know something might be happening. Kind of just searching for answers, but after sitting back and looking at it all in the rearview mirror, it all made sense now.
It did. It kind of laid itself out for you. But at the time, that's so interesting. At the time, you really didn't think too much of it. Like, even though, so Giroux finally puts his list out, and I remember hearing, yeah, Florida is one of his teams. Did you hear much of that? You really were just like, they're not going to trade me.
I think as it gets closer to it, and I mean, social media can be a terrible thing, but it's so hard to stay off it sometimes. But I think as it gets closer to it and he came out with his list and, possible landing spots and whatever it was, then I think I started to kind of realize that it was a reality that I might be moved. And, it happened. It all happened so fast. I think I was traded at, 7 o'clock one night and I was playing the next day in Philly at 2 o'clock. So it was a quick turnaround, but I think, leading up to it, you kind of see more and more signs and it all works out.
And I mean, this is a situation where I'm sure you're disappointed, but I've had so many guys on here that got traded and have asked for a lot of their reactions. And I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from a lot of the trades is, yeah, they're pissed about the team that drafted and developed them, trading them. But it also means that there's a team out there that wanted you really bad. Like they weren't making that trade unless you were a part of it. So Philly is just begging for you to be thrown in. Were you thinking about it in that way? Were you like, man, this sucks, but like, I'm going to get a real good look here in Philly?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, obviously, you never want to leave the spot where you were first picked and played your first couple games. But my first reaction was just looking at it as a new opportunity. I think it was good that I got traded with still, I think it was like 15, 20 games left and being able to kind of play more freely towards the end of the year and just kind of go in and meet some of the guys and instead of going into training camp fresh the next year. But no, it was great. I looked at it as a new opportunity right away and just trying to clear my head and start fresh.
I don't want to bring up too many bad memories, but you had 1 point in your first 7, but they kept playing you. Like, how much of a confidence boost was that? Were you thinking like, okay, this is wild. Like I'm probably supposed to be producing a little more than this, but they're still giving me this opportunity. Were you just kind of rolling with it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think just going back to coming in, I think it was kind of the perfect spot for me to land where it was a young team developing, growing up together. And, I think they were already out of a playoff spot and was just kind of letting everyone play. So I didn't think too much about it. I mean, obviously you're trying to make first impressions again and just doing what you can each and every night.
I want to ask you about some skills in your game. I want to get to some real hockey talk here. To me, it's your shot that separates you. That's absolutely elite. Even when you were young, skating around St. Mike's, ripping the puck. Couple questions. Was there anyone you watched a lot in the league that you tried to replicate the way they shoot? And part B, I want to know who you think has the best shot in hockey right now.
When I was younger, I don't think I watched anyone in particular. I was just the kid to always be on the street, on the driveway. And, I think, again, just going back to Maddie's, he always had the shooting pad set up and had extra ice when we needed it. So I think that obviously helped a lot. But I think who has the best shot today? There's so many guys that shoot it so different that I can't even pinpoint one to kind of say like it's crazy that
Who's got the best shot on the Flyers other than you?
I think Forrester would have the best shot. I think he scored 4 or 5 in a row, and they were all. I don't even think the goalie had a chance on any of them.
A more general thought too. I was kind of thinking about this as you were talking, because I don't know, you seem very mature about the whole situation and everything that's happened to you. Was there a particular moment, like I think of maybe the hat trick last year on St. Patty's Day? Like, was there a moment where it all kind of clicked for you and you were like, man, I belong here. Like I am a National Hockey League player. This is where I belong. I can contribute. This is a league that I can play in. Was there a singular moment or a culmination of things?
I can't remember a singular moment, but I think obviously going back to the hat trick, it kind of, I don't know if reassurance is the right word, but it kind of gives you that extra boost and, reminds you that, you do belong here. And, I don't want to take anything for granted and each day's, just take day by day. But, no, I think, like I said, just the trade being the biggest thing, just having a fresh start and a new opportunity to come in and kind of reassert myself and get that new sense of confidence and just play.
How cool was that hat trick on St. Patty's Day? I think you had a large like group of friends or something there, but that is awesome, man.
Yeah, no, that was probably the coolest moment so far in my career. I think I obviously had a bunch of friends down here, and they all came down and spent the weekend. And I had some family here, and it was amazing. Obviously, thinking back to it, it's pretty cool. And the Flyers did a great thing where they sent me a frame with a photo of me with all three pucks in it, and
Oh, that's
it's actually
wicked.
cool. In the Flyers organization, every time someone gets a hat trick, they grab all the hats or most of the hats from the ice and put it in a tube with a plaque on the concourse, and they're all lined up in a row. So that's pretty cool. I saw that for the first time too, and that's a pretty cool moment.
Oh, that's sick. Cause I was gonna ask you. My producer Darren was asking me before. He goes, "Hey, you know all the hats they throw on the ice? Do you guys can you keep any of those? Like, if you see a sick hat you want, can you keep it?" So I was gonna ask you that if you like ended up like I don't know, taking one of the hats or seeing anything. But say that again. They take them, they put them in a display, and now when you walk around the rink, it says like Owen Tippett hat trick with all the hats in it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had never seen it, but obviously when I have friends and family in, and they've seen it all in the concourse, it's pretty cool. They grab, I think it's just most of the hats. I don't know if it's all of them or not, but yeah, it's just a big singular tube with all the hats, and then a plaque on the bottom with name, date, and who it was against. So it's pretty awesome.
That's sick, man. I want to get niche hockey thing here. When I was young, I loved playing my offside. I loved like left shot playing right side. You're doing the opposite of that right now. Right shot playing the left wing. Quick one to start. Was that always the case, or has Torts flipped you, or how did this start?
I think growing up, I would always play the odd game on my offside, but right since the first day of training camp this year, Torts kind of said, "I'm going to start you on the left," and that can be kind of nerve wracking when it's unfamiliar territory, and you want to kind of start camp off. But no, he's been great with me, and working with me, and kind of giving me that freedom to kind of get comfortable on that side. And I love playing on the off wing. It's been great so far this year.
Why? I want to like let the viewer in and kind of explain this a bit. So for me, the most challenging part, I would think, I didn't do a ton of it in pro hockey, but everything's on your backhand, right? I feel like your peripherals are way better. You can see more. Offensive zone, you're always in a spot for a one-timer. You can kind of always be in shooting position. But can you talk to me about some of the challenges about playing on your offside in the NHL?
Yeah, I think like you said, the first thing is everything's on your backhand, and one thing that can be difficult is in your own zone. I mean, everything's your sticks to the wall, and to go up ice, it's everything on your backhand. But I think when you're coming back in, you have that protection, and the puck is on the wall instead of in the middle of the ice. But I think once you kind of get used to that, and learn different ways to adapt around that, once you move up the ice, and I love personally having my stick to the middle. I think there's more opportunity to shoot, and like you said, you're kind of open. And I think as a righty on the right hand side, you can kind of close yourself off sometimes entering the zone. But I think playing that offside just opens you up, especially having your stick to the middle.
Can you walk me through this beautiful game winner versus the New Jersey Devils? Overtime, strip the stick, go down, cheese. Can you walk me through it? Like from the minute you're in the neutral zone, can you break down the play for me?
Yeah, I think it went cross ice to Hughes, and I was just trying to shadow him and get a good angle. And I think it was the other Hughes actually that came underneath him, and I knew our other guy had a good angle on Hughes playing. And as soon as I saw him kind of stand up, I was like, okay, he might be dropping this, and I was able to kind of pick it off. And I think it's one of those things too, where when you come down, the shot might not look open, but having your stick to the inside, it can open up other things, and just tried to shoot it.
Who do you love playing 3-on-3 with on your team? Who's like the number one guy who you feel it with?
Yeah, I think last year was a lot different. We went 2D and one forward last year, but this year it's been two forwards, 1D. And I think it's always switching. You're never out there with the same person. But I've played with Frost for the most part ever since I came over, and we've had that chemistry for a while. So it's always nice to go out with guys that you play 5-on-5 with, and you can kind of read off them a little better.
How cool was Andy Frost doing the lineup in the dressing room? Like for me, being a Toronto kid, man, that was unreal.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. As soon as we found out that we had a dad's trip, we were kind of plotting to have him do it. And the 2 games after, Morgan actually got the lineup, and we made him do it just like his dad would. So that was fun too. But no, that was pretty cool to have him do it. Obviously, me growing up, you hear him in the ranks all the time. So that was pretty cool.
I missed it when I wanted to ask, when I was talking about torts. I have been since day one against the tablets on the bench. I'm not like, I understand. Like I saw Mitch Marner on TV the other day with it, and it makes it really hard for me to rip it when I see guys like that looking at a play or something. But Sam Reinhart really put it into perspective for me, saying guys are always just going back to look at one particular play. Did Torts ban those from the bench for you guys? Is that done?
Yeah, so he last year he started it where he banned it because I feel like guys would get, or he felt that guys would get lost in it and not being able to read kind of the situations going on in the game. And I totally agree. I mean, obviously, it's nice to kind of go back and look at plays here and there, whether it's a scoring chance or what else or whatever you could have done. But I think it lets guys stay more engaged and just focus on their next shift kind of thing. And obviously, if something goes wrong, that the coaches still have access to it and they can show you. But I think just any given guy grabbing it has kind of stopped, and it just goes to kind of the intermission where guys will go in and ask the video guys to kind of rewind it. But I think it's helped our team in sense of kind of just worrying about next shift and not trying to get lost in different plays.
Okay, the fans in Philly, this might be my last one, but brother. So when I started with Edmonton, we went in there. I fought Jay Rosehill when I was a rookie, and I went to the box, but my shoulder was out of place, fully dislocated. So I skated across the ice, like arm hanging out, and I got a beer thrown at me. And I just remember thinking, is this the 1980s? Like, is this the Broad Street Bullies? This is absolutely insane. And then I went back there when I played with New Jersey, and that was something I didn't realize too, how crazy the rivalry was with the Devils. I didn't think anything of that because the teams are so close, but man, the fans were rowdy. And have you really taken that in? Have you noticed that a lot? Like, I hated playing there.
Yeah, I think there's 2 sides of it. So when I was in Florida, I actually played my first game in Philly, and I think I had like 4 or 5 people come to the game, and the first thing I was told was, don't have them wear anything of the opposing team because it's just not going to be good. So I think from the opposing standpoint, I totally get why. And, to play in front of them as the home team, it's pretty special to know that that's what they're like. But I think when you're playing well and you're winning, it's unbelievable. But I think last year too, we went on a 10-game skid, and it was just nobody comes, or you're booed off the ice and here and there. So I think it just goes back to how passionate they are, and it's an amazing fan base to play in front of, and it's a great sports city. So I don't think it's a matter of kind of what team it is, but anytime a team in Philly is doing well or poorly, you're going to hear about it.
Damn, you keep making me think of more. You said great sports city. I don't know if the people know this, but in Philadelphia, there's basically a massive parking lot, and I don't know the names of the stadiums now, so forgive me if I get them wrong, but Citizens Bank, not Allegiant, but the football field, the baseball field, and the hockey arena where basketball is too are all in the same parking lot. When you drive in, you fly in, you can see them. Have you had a chance to take in some other sports, Phillies baseball, Eagles football yet?
Yeah, so we went as a full team to the Eagles home opener. We went to that game together, and then I was actually able to go to I think it was the first game of the NLCS where the Phillies were playing Arizona. So it all works on how it is with schedules and training camp, but whenever we can, we're always trying to go to games and get out. It's pretty awesome.
All right, man, that's it for me. You guys are in a playoff spot right now, correct?
think so. Yeah.
I don't expect any regression, man. To be honest, I keep thinking like this team's going to dip, and then I watch you guys play, and it's just like, man, this team works harder than everybody they play against. Like the 2 points, if you're going to try to get 2 points versus the Philadelphia Flyers, it's going to be damn tough. Just give me a little outlook on the rest of the year. It's going to be a tough stretch. You'll go through the dog days here after Christmas and New Year's, but how the Flyers looking for the new year here?
I think we're looking good. I mean, obviously, the first half of the year has been crazy with travel, and right after Christmas we go on the Western Canada swing. But I'm excited. It's going to be fun to finish out the year and see where we can end up. But I don't want to say anything too early, but I really like where our team is and the group we have.
Amazing, man. I'm going to be working your game in Edmonton. So good luck there and good luck down the stretch, man. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, it has been really cool to watch your development. To go from a kid that was in the junior group in the afternoons when we were training in the summer to watching you be a bona fide star in the NHL is extremely gratifying. Not that we had a great relationship, but it's really cool to see good kids succeed, man. And I wish you all the best going forward.
Appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.